Even older people who have been relatively sedentary across their life have shown benefits for memory and reasoning and problem solving, as well as brain structure and brain function. It's not that they're immune to age-associated diseases like Alzheimer's and others, but they tend to push it off a bit. And I think if you've had family members or known people that have had Alzheimer's, the families would give anything to have a few more years with their family members and not have these terrible diseases.
Welcome to The Age of Aging, a show about living well with an aging brain, produced by the Penn Memory Center in the Michael Nadoff Communications Hub. I'm Terrence Casey. I'm joined today by my co-host, Jake Johnson, and a special guest who actually pitched this story to us today, Emily Largent. Emily is Emmanuel Robert Hart Associate Professor of Medical Ethics and Chief of the Division of Medical Ethics. Important to today's episode, though, she's also a researcher with the Penn Program on Precision Medicine for the Brain and a serious runner. And if I'm not mistaken, I think in your office, you've actually mapped out all the states in which you've run a marathon. Is that correct?
I do. I keep a map over my desk, and it's a scratch off. So every time I finish a state, I can look forward to coming back to my office and scratching off a new part of the map.
And how many states are we up to now?
I looked this morning, and I've run more than 40 marathons, but you would think I would have 40 states, and I don't. It's closer to 25 right now.
Okay. What's next?
I'm signed up for a 50-miler this fall.
Okay, so we're not limiting it to marathons. It's as long as you hit at least 26.2, it counts.
Yeah, some people do a couch to 5K plan, and my first marathon was a couch to marathon, and then I just sort of kept going.
Wow, that's remarkable. And then what made you pitch this as a story for The Age of Aging?
Yeah, I'm really fortunate that when I walked to work, I walked past Franklin Field, which is named after Benjamin Franklin, and it's our stadium, and it's also where the Penn Relays take place. And since I was a student at Penn Nursing, and now that I live in the city again, I have enjoyed going every April to the Penn Relays and watching the racers. And I was thinking about the last time I was there, I actually got to watch the Masters runners. And there were people who were, over 60, over 65, over 70, over 75, and they were running absolutely incredible races. And so I thought this would be a great story to bring here.
Love that. And Jake?
Yeah, so for this episode, I reached out to a bunch of competitive Masters runners. So these are runners over the age of 40, but many of them we interviewed were in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. You guys both did a few of those interviews as well. And in addition to talking to them about why they love running, what they run, what their routines are like, I also spoke to the Masters coordinator for the Penn Relays about what the Masters group at the Penn Relays is all about, what that experience is like in the stadium, as well as Dr. Arthur Kramer. He's the director for the Center for Cognitive and Brain Health at Northeastern University. And he broke down how and why cardiovascular exercises and other kind of exercise like running is so good for your brain and so good for longevity and living a long, healthy life.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing all those stories, but first, a word from our sponsor.
Caring for an aging loved one isn't easy, but you don't have to do it alone. At Rothkopf Law Group, we guide families throughout New Jersey and Pennsylvania along every stage of your aging journey. Our team of elder care attorneys, care coordinators, public benefit specialists, and elder care advocates ensure your loved one's well-being and your peace of mind. Rothkopf Law Group, your partner in elder care advocacy and senior care planning every step of the way. Visit rothkopflaw.com for more information. That's rothkopflaw.com.
As the resident Philly transplant at the Penn Memory Center, I feel like I'm constantly catching up on important Philly things. Wood Rice, Go Birds, and most recently, the Penn Relays. As I found out, the Penn Relays are the oldest and largest annual track and field relay in the world, having been held since 1895. Taking place on the final Thursday through Saturday of April, the relays feature high school teams, college teams, Olympic-level athletes, and the Masters.
When we first come through, the officials, it just impressed me so much. Make way for the Masters, right? It is what the officials said. And all these kids got out of the way, made sure we were coming through.
Anthony Pugliese is a high school coach, Masters athlete, and this year's coordinator for the Masters events at the Penn Relays.
One year, I had the pleasure of being on the track and racing at the same time that my boys' high school team was on the track. So they were on the track racing, and I was in the paddock. But I got to watch for my 4x400 boys race only a few minutes before I did. In 2012, I raced the same day as my daughter did, who was in high school.
Typically, the Masters age group in track and field is considered to be those 35 to 40 and older. According to Pugliese, Masters events at the Penn Relays feature athletes 40 and over. Races are then held depending on the amount of athletes that have signed up to participate in each age group and gender.
Thursday, we will open with the 4x1s. We'll run those 4 heats. We will then move to the 100-meter opens. And then after they're done, we will go to the 4x400. And then on Saturday, as one of the featured races, there will be the Masters 80-year-old and older men's 100-meter race. And that draws some attention because people are amazed to see these folks at 80 years old sprinting. These guys are going to break 15 seconds on a 100-meter dash. There is a buzz in the stadium. And these are very, very knowledgeable track and field fans. Do you know what a Penn Relays whoop is?
I don't.
Okay. Well, if you're running a 4x4 and you're in the lead and you start hearing woo, woo, you got problems because somebody's gaining on you. And the fans do that with us is just like they do with everybody else. They're into the race. And if you are getting run down by somebody, it'll light a fire under you. 20, 25,000 people in the stands. I don't run in front of 20, 25,000 people ever. I run in front of my fellow athletes and maybe some family and friends if they showed up. So it's exciting. It really is.
Guy DeLilio is 73 years old and a retired senior finance manager.
I was traditionally a middle distance runner after graduate school, and I continued that till I was 55. And then I sort of retired and just did mostly cross training. And then a few years ago, when I reached 70, my wife said, "What would you like to do for your 70th birthday?" I said, "I want to go back to running in the Penn Relays." And you know why? When they announce the Masters, we get a standing ovation because what it does, it inspires people. That's what I enjoy the most about Penn Relays. It's, we're not the fastest by any means, but we're still pretty fast. But it inspires all these kids. They cheer us. It makes them want to continue to aspire to do that.
DeLilio is one of many Masters runners we interviewed for this episode who cited their love of running as having various anti-aging benefits.
What happened over the years was my aging slowed down. I mean, it just did. I'm never winded. I have good physical balance, good symmetry. I'm still very strong for my age. I can still press over 600 pounds with my legs. And I just feel energized. I feel as if my information processing has not dissipated at all.
Dr. Art Kramer is a research scientist and the founding director of the Center for Cognitive and Brain Health at Northeastern University.
I did one case study once, and the woman's name was Olga Kotelko. In her 70s, a friend took her to a track meet, and she got interested in competing, and she competed until she passed in her mid-90s. But I was able to look at her brain, and one aspect of brain structure we looked at was what's called the white matter, or the communication channels between different regions of the brain. And one of them is called the corpus callosum. It goes down the middle of the brain and allows the left side to communicate with the right side and so forth. And she had preserved white matter at the age of 90 that looked nothing like what a 90-year-old should look like. So what we did is we had a number of younger women who ranged in age from 65 to 80. And Olga stood out among these 55 younger women in terms of the quality or the integrity of her white matter. She also tended to do better at many cognitive tasks, many memory tasks than people of her age group.
While athletes like Olga Kotelko and Guy DeLilio may be intimidating to us mere mortals, Dr. Kramer said you can get the longevity benefits of exercise at much more moderate levels and starting at any age.
The first study I ever did was a study on swimming, simply swimming recreationally, if you can do it for a distance. That's also true of bicycling. It's true of walking or jogging. Tends to lead to healthier brains, better cognition, better memory, reasoning, problem solving, the ability to stay engaged in life, and also healthier in general. But we've done studies with hundreds of older people over time, over many studies, and even older people who have been relatively sedentary, have not been very physically active across their life, have shown benefits for memory, reasoning, and problem solving, as well as brain structure and brain function, both in terms of white matter and what we call gray matter, that is the neurons or cell bodies that help us do the computations that lead to memory, that lead to our ability to make decisions. It's not that they're immune to age-associated diseases like Alzheimer's and others, but they tend to push it off a bit. And I think if you've had family members or known people that have had Alzheimer's or other kinds of age-associated neurodegenerative diseases, the families would give anything to have a few more years with their family members and not have these terrible diseases.
Though many of the Masters athletes we spoke to cited long-term health as motivators for running, it often wasn't the primary reasons people said they ran. Here's 82-year-old Tom Jennings.
The social aspect of running is such an important part of it that it really is what keeps you going. I started running in high school and then didn't really run again until I was in my early 30s in 1977. And that was, I joined two friends who were training to run the Boston Marathon, because every Sunday morning I would meet up with these two friends and we would do long runs together. The Sunday morning running group eventually turned into a Sunday morning cycling group, and it expanded greatly. So there are now about 15 guys who might show up on a Sunday morning. Running clubs are such a positive that bring people together and lifelong friendships develop. Marriages happen in my both of my groups. Actually, people have gotten together and ended up in relationships. Eventually, got married.
Jennings, like Pugliese and many other Masters runners, also coaches high school track and field.
I'm now in my 11th year of high school coaching, which is the best thing I ever did. Every year, like on my birthday, I do something like I'd run 7.6 miles at 76. That's 7.7 miles. So for my 80th, I decided that I would run a sub-8 mile at 80. The day came and it turned into kind of a big deal at the school. The athletic director came and the school photographer came, my wife and kids and grandkids. So for the first 3 laps, the distance runners kind of formed a cocoon around me and paced me. And then for the final lap, the whole team joined in, the sprinters and the throwers and the other coaches. And I ended up running a 7:46 time, which was fantastic. So it was a really special experience.
For most of the Masters runners we spoke to, running was something they did for themselves, to unplug from the stress of daily life.
I'm Lauren Siegel. As of the other day, I turned 66. I've been running for 50 years. I've been a streak runner for 26 years. I haven't missed a day. My streak is since October 99. I started my streak kind of by accident because I have a special needs daughter and my life was really super stressful. When she was young, it was really intense, every waking moment. Even if I ran for half an hour that day, that was the only thing I did for myself the entire day. And that half hour was my vacation almost. It was just a break from the reality of my life, which was really hard.
I have always done this to make myself feel better.
Guy DeLilio again.
I mean, I remember when my dad died, I went out and I ran 12 miles. I needed private time. And it helped me get through it.
When we engage in exercise like running, our brain releases endorphins and serotonin that make us feel good. Studies also show that physical activity like running can help manage cortisol levels, one of the body's stress hormones. While physical activity initially spikes cortisol, those who engage in regular exercise have been shown to reduce their baseline cortisol levels as well as have better sleep, creating a positive feedback loop for reducing stress and benefiting mental health. Reducing stress and anxiety is another great benefit to longevity, as studies show stress can actually speed up aging. Claudia Simpson, who's 72, remarked on that combination of endorphins and sense of accomplishment that running brings.
Like I was in New York this past weekend watching my daughter run the United New York City half marathon. And I went towards where after the runners had all finished and they're all out and they're all just so high and so happy. And, it's funny observing that, not having run myself, but it's just, there's so much joy and seemingly thrill of having completed something very difficult. And knowing the physiological, sort of psychological and spiritual benefits of running, this is something I want to do for, until I'm 110.
Masters runner Delvin Dinkins said that he feels running has given him a perseverance that he's brought into other aspects of his life.
Being able to say, wow, if I can do this really hard thing over here, then I probably can do this really hard thing over there. And I think that that's been a lesson that I've learned in terms of really being able to push myself in different ways and to stay the course and to not give up so easily, even when other pieces of information might tell you, just throw in the towel. I'm less likely, I think, to do that as a result of being a runner.
In terms of the amount of exercise you need to get benefits, Dr. Kramer said any amount is good, and you don't have to get it from running. He said what's most important is to choose a form of exercise you like and can ultimately stay consistent with.
For the most part, as long as it's not excessive, more tends to be better. But is more in terms of distance, more in terms of how vigorous. But I wouldn't want people to get too caught up in that because anything is going to give you benefits. When we look at the literature, doing a little bit of vigorous exercise where you raise your heart rate sufficiently, you shouldn't be able to talk and carry on a conversation. That would be vigorous exercise. Sure, it's great to do that if you can, if you're able to, if your health allows you to, but you'll also get benefits even for more modest amounts of exercise. We know more about cardiorespiratory exercise, things like jogging or walking or running or swimming, but there's more and more data now from my colleagues. Even resistance exercise tends to be beneficial. There's also research on Tai Chi and yoga that show that Eastern practices that are interesting because they often accommodate both learning new skills. When you think of yoga or Tai Chi, there are many movements that you have to learn, and it takes a while to learn them, but you can do them fast. They offer resistance. So the Eastern exercises tend to be beneficial in the same way the cardiorespiratory exercises and resistance exercises tend to be.
Having run for decades, many of the runners we spoke to said that over the years, despite wanting to continually push themselves, they've learned their body's limits and the importance of rest. Claudia Simpson said her yoga practice has influenced this in her running.
Not overdoing practice is important. When you're tired, walk. Being a yoga teacher myself, I would always say have a balance in your life with exercise too. So, as much as you exert yourself, I think it's important also to rest and recover.
I've had to listen to my body more.
Delvin Dinkins again.
Before, I would say, I'm not listening to you. I'm doing what I want to do. Now, I'm much more attentive. I'm a much better listener to my body. I'm much more attuned to joint pain and blood flow and that sort of thing. And even the mindfulness around it. I've had to sometimes say, today it's not a good day and it's okay. Or today work is ruling and so I'm going to take off.
If you're considering starting running, runner Bill McKenna says it's important to take it slow.
No matter what age you are, you give yourself a month or 2 months. You go around a track or around a neighborhood. Just start building it up slowly so that you enjoy it. If you find it's too hard, you may just say, I don't want to go through this. I would just set reasonable goals and a good time frame and possibly also a target. Maybe you set a 5K like May 31st. And if you're starting today, which is like in March, you give that time and plan it out. Another thing I really think for runners is you can't hold to that very strict schedule. So if you say, I'm running 4 days this week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. If for some reason you can't do it Tuesday, you just put it aside. You didn't do it? All right, I'm gonna do it next Thursday. Don't give up and say, oh, I'm behind, I'll never do it now, I'm just giving up. Just keep doing it. And hopefully you start feeling good, the benefits of it. And I think at that point there, that's your best chance for success to really make a effort to be a runner.
If you're an older adult who wants to compete, get more exercise, or just meet new people, Anthony Pugliese said to find a local track and field club with Masters runners.
With regard to the Masters, it's never too late. And if you don't like running, there are other events. I mean, we have guys that are exclusively Masters throwers that just throw, Masters jumpers. You can join our club, Greater Philadelphia Track Club, USATFmasters.org, I believe it is. If you go on that site, it's got everything about being introduced to Masters, where you might find the major meets. I'll just leave you with this one thing. If you're staying fit, just so that you can get up and down the steps and in and out of your car and have independence as you get older, it's worth it. But if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. Whether it's walking, swimming, biking, running, or going to the gym, continue it. It's important. You don't want to be that person that just can't go to a restaurant because there's 6 steps and they don't want to negotiate that, or it's too long a drive and they can't sit in the car.
But for Masters athletes competing in the Penn Relays, their goal is always going to be a little higher.
My own kids sometimes joke and say, "Dad, is your goal to be one of those 85-year-old guys running the 100?" I'm thinking, absolutely. That is precisely my goal.
Welcome back. Jake, excellent reporting. I really enjoyed hearing those runner stories. And I have to say, when we started this, we were thinking we were going to find a whole collection of older adults who were hyper-focused on maintaining their cognitive health as they age. And I didn't really hear that from anybody.
Yeah.
Did you hear that in any of these interviews?
No, I also was thinking that people would at least mention, their brain health as being something that's important. I mean, maybe I'm just been at the Penn Memory Center for too long now. I'm always thinking about brain health as like the number one thing on everybody's mind. But mostly people talked about, they run to de-stress, they like the competition, they like to challenge themselves, they like the community. But I didn't find that people really specifically mentioned their brain health as being the thing that they were thought was most important for running.
Yeah. And Emily, is that okay? Is that a problem?
No, I think it's a wonderful thing. I mean, I know intellectually that exercise can boost memory and thinking, often indirectly, right, by improving mood or sleep or reducing stress and anxiety, which are all things we've heard about. But in the end, the reason I run, and it sounds like a lot of the people we talked with as well, is that it just makes us happy.
Okay. Yeah, Bill McKenna is one of the runners I spoke to, and he spoke at length about how he doesn't track his time while he runs. He doesn't listen to music, and he didn't use the word meditation, but it really sounded like this Zen-like state of meditation. And it sounded like its own practice of brain health, even separate from the cardiovascular benefits of it. I think we also heard a lot about the socialization from these run groups, et cetera.
Yeah, that was a big theme that came up again and again that I wasn't expecting. A lot of people mentioned just, meeting great people, building a lot of friendships. Everybody's super nice. Somebody mentioned, not being able to count the amount of jerks he's met on one hand. Everybody, even the people they're competing against, is very nice. And there's a community in that as well. You're competing against people, but then you see them winning other races and you're happy for them because everybody knows each other at this point. So I thought that was an aspect of it that I wasn't expecting. But another great thing for brain health is socialization and then being in community with people.
Yeah, I was particularly surprised by some of those elements because, one, my AirPods died on a run this morning, and it was torture for me personally. But also, I am constantly checking my watch, checking my speed, trying to maintain things like that. And I absolutely hate running with other people if it's not part of a race. So I need 10,000 runners around me or no runners around me. Emily, how about you? Do you like running with the group?
I usually run alone, but I love running on the Schuylkill River Trail because I'm around a lot of people then, and I can see the dogs and wave at people who are running by. I'm enjoying all the spring flowers right now, so I do like being amongst people even if I'm not running with a buddy. I think one of the neat things about being in the stands at the Penn Relays is that you see athletes who, no matter their age, are really at the top of their game. They're coming and performing in these really fabulous ways. But most of the time when I run, we joke in my house that I'm running with my heart. I just put on my shoes and I go out because it makes me feel good to do it. Whether it's the meditation or seeing people enjoying the nice weather. The best thing with running is it really just starts with a few steps. You don't have to run a 100-meter dash. You can just run 100 meters, and that makes you a runner too.
Now, one of the things that came up in our conversations as well is that we not only can not everybody run a marathon or these even sprints. Some people aren't able to run at all or walk, and not just physical issues, but the state of walkable communities. We see that a lot in West Philadelphia. I walked in from 10 blocks away today, and there's several spots that I was tripping on sidewalks. What kinds of things were people talking about in your interviews, or what have you experienced? Maybe Emily, I could start with you. What are some other options for people if they're not able to lace up and run with their heart?
Yeah, I guess you can also swim with your heart or cycle with your heart. Those are really great cross-training exercises. But I think it's really fun even just to spectate. You get that community benefit as well just by going and being around people.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Kramer was talking about really any activity that you can get your heart rate up to a certain degree, get your heart pumping. That is an exercise that's going to be beneficial for your brain health. So I think you can get pretty creative with that in a lot of different ways. Yeah, I think we focused on running for this episode because of the Penn Relays. We all love running. It's not necessarily the best exercise. Any kind of exercise, walking, cycling, swimming, weightlifting, these are all going to be things that are beneficial for longevity.
Yeah, and I think we've talked in previous episodes too, not just the ones you've mentioned, but dance as both a creative outlet and a physical activity. And I think you actually just watched a memory cafe last week, right?
Yeah, I just watched
tango at the Penn Memory Center.
Exactly. I just watched a tango class. We had it downstairs at Ralston House at the Penn Memory Center, and I just did some filming. It was very, very sweet. A lot of older adults learning to do some tango.
So Jake, let's start with you. What takeaways did you have from these individuals? Are you going to change anything about your workout routine over the course of the week? Any races that you sign up for?
It was inspiring to talk to these individuals. So it really pushed me to want to sign up for races. I had run a half marathon 2 years ago, and so I decided to sign up again this year. I'm going to do the Broad Street Run as well in Philly. So I'm excited about that. I walked away feeling very inspired and hoping to, above anything, keep it in my life for as long as I possibly can, and not worry too much, honestly, about the intensity or how much I'm doing or how fast I'm going, but just the fact that I'm doing it consistently.
Great. Well, I look forward to seeing a Broad Street Run, maybe just at the starting line. Emily, will you run Broad Street, or is that too elementary for you?
I'm spectating Broad Street, which I do. I think that it's so fun to be part of the crowd and get to cheer people on. And so I have friends and family, and now I know to look for both of you.
Any takeaways, any adjustments that you would make to your routine based on some of these conversations?
I actually went and I looked up group runs so that I could see about building my running community out a little bit more. And instead of my only solo running, I can maybe try running with some other folks. And of course, I bought my tickets to the Penn Relays.
Oh, wonderful. All right. Well, Jake, Emily, thank you so much for your time today. This was great. I'm looking forward to lacing up Running with My Heart tomorrow. And maybe I'll try it even without music or a watch, but I don't know if I'm ready for that. Thanks for being here, Jake.
Yeah. Thank you, Terry.
Thanks. Be running.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Age of Aging. The show is made possible by generous support from the Michael Nadoff Communications Hub Fund and our sponsor, Rothkopf Law Group. The Age of Aging is a Penn Memory Center production hosted by myself and co-host Terrence Casey. Contributors include Dahlia El-Said, Jason Karlowish, Emily Largent, and Allison Lynn. A special thanks this episode to Emily Largent, Anthony Pugliese, Guy DeLilio, Art Kramer, Tom Jennings, Lauren Siegel, Claudia Simpson, Delvin Dinkins, and Bill McKenna. If you like this episode, please consider leaving a review or giving us a like. These types of things really help others find the show. And if you know someone who might be interested in these conversations, share this episode with them. We also love hearing from our listeners. If you'd like to reach out, our contact information is in the show notes.